Thanks to the Jurassic World movies, velociraptors are some of the most famous dinosaurs. While they were real and they were carnivores, unlike in the movies, paleontologists believe raptors were much smaller, only 1.5 feet tall, and weighed approximately 55 pounds, the same as a small golden retriever. They were smart, quick predators that lived 75 to 71 million years ago. There is even now evidence that velociraptors had feathers. For this project, you'll need a piece of paper, thicker like cardstock if you're going to use watercolors, which this is a 16 palette, and I got it at Walmart for about $5. I do have a smaller one here, but the bigger one was actually cheaper. You'll also need a waterproof outlining utensil, so either a Sharpie or a black crayon, and a pencil. To start, draw an eye near the top left corner of your paper. Mine has a rounded edges, like a triangle, and then I'm adding in the inner pupil of the eye, which is a crescent moon. I'll fill that in later. Draw an upside down U above the eye for a bony ridge. Add a curved line for the back of the head. From the ridge, draw a line that approaches the right side of the page, then cuts in below the eye. Add another ridge on top. This is like the back of that eye on the other side. Draw the bottom jaw and curve the line down to run off the bottom of the page for the neck. Add a nostril. Connect the top and bottom jaw with a curved line, and then add the pointy teeth. I'm changing the shape of my head just because I think it's a little bit pointy and I want more room. So I'm just smoothing out my line. That's why we're doing it in pencil first, so you can make any kind of changes you need. Now, close off the bottom jaw and make a line from the corner of the mouth to the bottom of the page. Add stripes. At this point, add any kind of details. These details will give you more ideas for different places you can put color so that you can add interest to your velociraptor. You can add stripes, scalloped lines, zigzag lines, and any kind of shapes. Don't forget a few feathers on the top of the head. Once you're happy with your velociraptor, use a permanent outlining utensil, so either a Sharpie or a crayon, black crayon, and outline all those parts of your velociraptor. Also, color in the pupil of your eye and your nostril. If you used a black Sharpie, erase any pencil marks. Before we paint our velociraptor, let's talk about color scheme. We are using analogous colors, which means colors that are next to each other. If you have a small one, like I was just demonstrating, you'll use 3 that are next to each other. If you have a larger 16 color palette, you can use any 2 that are next to each other and then a third one across the way. I'm demonstrating a couple of options here. It's up to you. When I use my watercolors, first thing I want to do is wet some of those colors I'm using. So I'm using green, blue-green, and then yellow-green up top. I'm also using blue. So I'm using 4 colors, which you can do if you have the larger palette. So I woke up the colors by putting water. Now I'm going to begin painting in my velociraptor. I want to make sure I don't push down really hard. Don't do that. Be gentle. Think of your paintbrush as a ballerina. I'm going quickly because you don't need to see 20 minutes of me using watercolor to paint my velociraptor, but it should take you some time. Think about how you can blend colors. You can blend colors by mixing the colors while your paint is still wet. One other thing is if you do not have watercolors, you can of course use markers. You can of course use crayons. Watercolors is just another option for those of you who have it. See how I'm adding a second color over my yellow-green? Feel free to do the same. Pick any 3 or 4 colors nearest each other on the color wheel or in your paint palette. If you notice your paper getting too wet and the color starting to bleed, you can use a tissue to blot it dry. Before painting your background, let your velociraptor dry. That way, the colors will not bleed. Choose a complementary color for the background. This is a color that sits across from one color in your color scheme on the color wheel. You can pause here to look. I used blue, blue-green, and green, so the color I'm choosing is red and red-orange.